All right, guys. So today we're here with Ryan Matta to talk about Never in America, his new docufilm, and we'll just let him kind of take it away.
Ready? Let's do this. So,
Yep.
yeah, my name's Ryan Matta. I'm a documentary filmmaker, investigative journalist. I've been kind of, a lot of people probably have known me for my work that I've done on the Charlie Kirk assassination and just constantly, relentlessly exposing the government corruption. It all started about 4 years ago, 3 years ago, with the trafficking of the migrant children, just the massive amount of unaccompanied alien children that arrived at our border without parents, roughly 452,121 to be exact, from January 20th of 2021 till October 20th of 2024. Our government took physical possession of all of them, but they delivered 350,000 children to grown men where they vetted the adult that they were delivering them to. And then within a 30-day period, they couldn't locate the child or the adult. So that when I first broke that story, it was like 20,000. And then the New York Times broke the 85,000. And then it ended up being 350,000 when Tom Homan was appointed by President Trump on December 14th of 2024. And from there, that just led me on this pursuit of just being the guy who's always talking about child trafficking and thinking that, like, Trump was going to be the guy that got into office. And finally, we were going to have change. Finally, we were going to have reform. Finally, we were going to have accountability. And I was the guy at Mar-a-Lago for the release of the police state documentary, Dinesh's film, which I thought was just so soft. It was so weak. It was so pathetic compared to like what I can do with a film if I had that access and those contacts. Is like we would bring this country to its knees. We'd bring our intelligence agencies to its knees. And this entire administration has just been the biggest disappointment, in my personal opinion, thinking that we're actually going to make change. And my new film is called Never in America, and it's on CPS. And CPS is like literally unmasking CPS's kidnapping empire. You cannot watch my film and think that there's any apparatus of good that's being done by this organization whatsoever. And our foster care system is the biggest disgrace, to the point where my film's trailer released this would have been 2 Mondays ago. It released on the 10th of November. I felt like I had to leave the country just to start promoting this thing, because that's normally when they kill you, when you're getting ready to release a film, and it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be that impactful. And I released it. I released the trailer on the 10th, and it went viral that night. Started trending on X #1, and then like the next day, 36 hours later, Trump holds a press conference and he has this like weird like pre-written script about how like the Bible teaches us, like, you can judge a country by its offspring and by how you treat the children of that country. And our foster care system needs major reform or some bullshit. And he's like, we're gonna take care of these kids. We're gonna make sure that they're never forgotten. There's gonna be some of the most successful kids. And then the next day, Nancy Mace puts out a statement from Melania saying that their solution is that they're going to be raising a bunch of money and giving iPads to all of the children in foster care. And President Trump setting up something so when they turn 18, they can apply for get a job in the government. I'm like, these people have no clue, like no clue how evil this is. Like there is a 98% chance right now that if you get sexually abused at some point in your life, that you're basically came from the foster care system, like a 98%. If they rescue a child, if Cash goes in and kicks down a door and rescues a sex trafficked child, there's a 60 to a 90% chance, if it's a female, that she was in the foster care system. Okay, so you are basically guaranteeing, like, whatever your environment you're taking these kids from is so not obviously not nearly as horrific as whatever you're putting them into, because you're guaranteeing that there's a 60 to 90% chance that sex traffic victim came from our foster care system. So you're going to guarantee these kids a life of being raped and abused, and your solution is here's an iPad and hopefully we'll get you a job at the UPS. Like, that's your solution to fixing this problem? This is the golden ages, Trump? Like, come on. And it's like I get so riled up and so worked up about it, because it's just there's never any viable solution. Like, I could fix the sex trafficking industry and probably save 25% of the sex trafficking girls getting sex trafficked in our country just by putting a simple sign in the airport. Their signs are "see something, say something," and I'm like, "See something, say something." Like, how much money of our tax dollars have you wasted with your stupid "say something, see something"? And you don't say, and nobody says anything, and you don't see shit, and nobody gets saved. These girls are getting sex trafficked because the pimp and the madam takes their passport. It should be, do you owe somebody money, and is somebody holding onto your passport, and you think you have and you have no chance at being saved? You can turn yourself in at any airport without a passport and admit you're being trafficked, and we will help get you home. We will help get you to safety. Like, that's where these girls are getting trafficked. They bring them into our country, they take their documents, and then they tell them that they're going to get arrested for, being an illegal immigrant. They're going to get deported, and they're just going to get sent back to whatever hellhole that they were trafficked out of. And we have cartel members and gang members waiting at that, wherever you came from. So there's so much that we could be done with little solutions, and their solution is like, oh yeah, we're gonna go after the Johns. Like, that's like going after the dude who has a roach in his ashtray and giving him 5 years in prison. Did that solve the war on drugs? No. They haven't won the war on drugs. They haven't won the war on cancer. They haven't won the war on corruption. They haven't won the war on shit. Besides the American people is the only thing that they seem to win the war against. So I'm just black pilled as you can get right now.
Oh, you kind of froze.
Can you see me? I should be good on my end, but let's see here. How about now?
Yeah, I think we're back.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I didn't freeze on my end. Weird.
Well, you disappeared on my screen for a second, but it's back now.
Okay. So yeah, that's kind of my story is I've just been on this relentless crusade to expose corruption. And it just, I don't know. I'm just at a point where I'm just so black pilled right now. I can't, I don't have many solutions. So maybe you do.
I don't know if I have solutions, but I agree with you that I was one of those people who thought Trump was going to make this huge difference, and I was a Q follower and all these different things. And so I had a lot of high hopes. Now I think that either there's something going on in the background that just isn't being told to us, or if you want to think on the positive note, or promises that were made are not being kept. But the exploitation of children is a huge problem, been a huge problem. I know just from telling you about research that I've done, even just missing kids in my county and from the foster care system. Oh, this foster kid ran away. It's something like 80% of those kids are trafficked.
Yep.
And that's not even medical,
No.
medically trafficked. That's just being placed in foster care. I mean, well, I guess that's me not knowing why they were placed there, right? But either way, the fact that CPS can get involved that way, like in your docufilm, was completely scary. I would have honestly never really thought, a child with no bruising, infant at that, with my medical background, babies fluctuate with weight all the time for several different reasons. You have kids who are colicky, finicky, allergic to lactose. You know what I mean? I was a lactose intolerant baby. So it's just the doorway that creeps open for them to just fling it open and run rampant with it. So I give you a lot of props and thank you for making that film. I think it's going to open a ton of eyes. I mean, it opened my eyes even more. And I'm like you. I wouldn't say black pilled. I'm really red pilled, but I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, what is happening? Like, where are we solving these huge issues? So,
And there's no more important an issue than our children, right? And it's not just our children, right? It's everybody's children that are at risk here. And now we're in this weird, unique lawfare phase of our country, which I just think is the absolute demise of civilization here. It's like, shut up, pay your taxes, speak out against us, and we're going to sue you. You even try to question us or say anything about us that's, I don't know. It's like watching Alexis Wilkins is the biggest disgrace ever. Watching Kash Patel is the biggest disgrace. Watching Trump just kiss that dude's ass it's so pathetic. It's so sad. And now the cover up of the Charlie Kirk assassination, I just can't take it anymore. It's like this is not a country I want to raise my children in. It's not a country I want people to bring their money and invest in. It's not a country I want to invest in. There's like I live in a trailer for a reason because I don't want to own anything in this country. It's a disgusting, filthy, vile, corrupt nation that we're being taxed to death like slaves. There's no hope for our children. Where they can go get an indoctrination degree, get into $400,000 worth of debt, and then what? Work like a slave and give 53% of the money to their government while their skies are getting poisoned, while their food's getting poisoned, while the healthcare industry is getting rotten and corrupt. It's like we have cures for everything, right? The war on cancer, my ass. Like how many billions and trillions of dollars have we invested in cancer and we can't cure it? And yet China's talking about having a cure for diabetes. Putin's talking about having a cure for cancer. They're going to live to 150 over in Russia and China now. And what, we're just going to die off here at 70, connected to some big pharma machine and become forever big pharma patients while we just sit by and just act like this is okay. And Trump wines and dines Bill Gates in the White House. Dr. Fauci hasn't been arrested. Like at some point, you just have to stop. Like there is no trusting the plan anymore. It's like we did that. We went down that rabbit hole. Nothing happened. Trump's back in the White House. We gave him the House. We gave him the Senate. We gave him the executive branch. And he's gave us nothing but lip service and gaslighting. I'm so just disappointed in that man.
I feel the same way. I mean, first off, Kash Patel and Alexis Wilkins, I can't even get over that, and I can't stand Kash Patel, so I can't even give him an ounce of my energy. His girlfriend, it's just, it looks like a circus in my opinion. It's making this administration look like we have a circus and there's just a bunch of clowns, and I'm with you. I'm not happy with that at all. As far as the corruption goes, I fully agree with you. I think that people don't even realize right now, and I did a deep dive into trusts and putting your name in trust, and different things, because at the end of the day, your social security number is a routing number, you know, and it goes into a whole thing, but people don't realize you're never actually going to ever own your home.
Never.
So, yeah, you know, in the 50-year mortgage thing, that definitely isn't going to help anyone ever own their home. You're basically going to be paying rent because you're never going to pay that off. And college is a huge scheme. I mean, I won't lie. I went to school forever, so I have student loans, but I will tell you that by the time, you know, you start working and the cost of living, what you have left over, you pay to your loan. I mean, it's not even worth going to school.
No.
You know what I mean? But you're taught that you have to do that to have a better life, to have all these extra nice things, or you know what I mean? But really, you're just getting by. So the system is meant to keep you poor and stuck and broke. You know.
100%.
Um,
There's no, like, you can't even go to school, get a good job, and guarantee that you're ever gonna escape the rat race here. You're always in it. Like like you go to El Salvador, you buy property and it's yours. You pay a 10% sales tax on it and you own it for all of eternity. You buy a car, you buy it cash, you don't have to have insurance on it. It's like, so you mean to tell me I buy my car, if I live in a city that I never drive above over 10 miles or 20 miles per hour or 30 miles per hour, like what's the worst thing? I'm gonna get a fender bender, right? I'm gonna have to replace my bumper. I'm gonna have a $300 replaced bumper once every year because I get in a rear-ended. Okay, well, I didn't spend $300 a month on full coverage insurance, so I just pay it off. I don't have to pay property tax, which is $6,000 a year, so I could literally just buy a quarter of a used car a year or half a used car. In El Salvador, they allow salvage vehicles to be sold. Like they're like, so if a flood happens and a car gets wet and it gets damaged, it's like a brand new car. Nothing's really wrong with it, but they can't sell it legally because it was in a flood. They come down here in El Salvador and you get a brand new car for like 12 grand. So it's like we're doing everything wrong in America. We're getting taxed to death. We're $38 trillion in debt. And that's all getting in.
and we're
It's all
still
getting,
giving away money to
and we're
other
still giving away
countries.
billions of dollars in foreign aid to these countries. It's like
Mhm.
Israel has us so wrapped over a barrel, and the next generation's not putting up with it. So they're either going to silence us all. They can try to carry out another false flag attack, but I'm not sending my children off to war. I don't know about anybody else. It's like what, like, it was ever an honorable thing to send your kids off to die to fighting war for your country? Like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. You win a war by making the other dumb mother suckers die for their country, right? Like, we never had any business. We're not the world's police. We don't need to be fighting these forever wars. Like, it's our fucking money. Why do we give it to our government? Why do we allow our government to treat us like we're fucking slaves? I was just watching a video. They were talking about the days of the Mayans, and they had slaves. A slave would have to give 20% of their wages to the king in exchange for like a 10-hour workday. They got paid a salary, and then on top of that salary, they had to give the king 20% of their wages. And that was being a slave. They had to keep 80% of everything else they made. But they were forced to work. We're all forced to work. And our government takes 53% of every penny we make.
Yep.
We're modern day slaves. And then they want to inject your child. They want to chop your child's dick off. They want to, come after you as a parent because you're not putting your children in these garbage ass schools, these indoctrination camps. Like, what the?
Beyond.
It's beyond bizarre. And it's like we all just sit here because we've been so brainwashed and so indoctrinated into it. It's just like, MTG getting fired should be the biggest wake up call, right? She put out a statement and said, like, listen, guys, there is no 4D chess happening. There is no master plan. There is no military operation and nobody coming to save you. There is just Trump lying to us. It's all been one big fucking lie. And MTG's like, she's not going to save the country, right? She's going to get assassinated, get killed, get whatever. For what? Because she's speaking out against our intelligence agencies, against Israel, against AIPAC. So she can live her life happily ever after and be set with her full pension on January 5th. Good for you, girl. Get out of there. You don't owe this country shit. You gave everything to President Trump. She was the most loyal, avid Trump defender in the world. And he just came
Yeah.
out right out and spit in her face. Like, her dad had double bypass surgery and was like on his deathbed. He might not make it another couple hours. And she had to leave his side, leave her mother, while her dad she may not come back and he may not be alive. And she had to go to Washington, D.C. so that she could vote against Trump's impeachment to make sure that he didn't get impeached and end up in prison. And then he comes out and goes, yeah, MT Brown. Like, it's like who's writing his scripts anymore? He needs to get Mike Benz back in there and get the OG team back together and start arresting these people.
I'm speechless because I'm with everything that you're saying. And I mean, there's no way at this point that there's an excuse. I mean, he's been in office for, over a year. How are we still here? So I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, we need more time to address these issues. And there's these bigger issues. And yeah, there are, bigger issues, but it's kind of like what your parents teach you when you're a kid. Like, you can't pour from an empty cup. Worry
Mhm.
about your ass first. I think that we need to worry about our ass first. And if we're this much in debt and you have Americans struggling, we don't belong helping any other country right now.
None.
And so
What have we got is the question from all these countries that we helped around the world. Because I've watched this, I just been to 20 countries in the last year, and I've been to the worst. And all these countries that are getting our foreign aid, I went to them and I'm like, what have we done in this country? You go to Madagascar, it's one of the poorest countries in the world. The going rate to have sex with a child is $1.50, or sorry, 50 cents to $1.50.
so
The going rate to
gross.
have sex with an adult is like $10. It is the most disgusting, filthy, crime-ridden, poverty-stricken. Like kids are literally, if you could picture a garbage dump, like you look and there's garbage and needles and drugs and not drugs, but like garbage, trash,
Hmm.
feces, mold, just disgusting grossness on the ground, like sewage. You wouldn't walk in it barefoot if somebody paid you. And then you look around, and you see 4-year-old kids walking without parents, without shoes on, through this like feces filled sludge. You with the dogs pooping on the sidewalk, humans pooping in buckets, and they're just dumping it out their front door because there's like that's where the drainage system is. And then when it rains during the rainy season, all that floods into their house.
Oh,
Kids having to sleep on floors under like dirty woods. If your kid needs 50 cents worth of antibiotics and you can't afford them, then your kid dies. Like it's the just most disgusting. And we've given them $1 billion over the last year. And for what? Oh, so we could buy off their vote in the UN to favor Israel. So the politicians in that country have gotten filthy rich while the citizens have been just dirt poor. 3.8 million people live in a capital that make less than $2.15 a day. Yeah, and
yeah,
it's like
it's
so I go there and
embarrassing.
what is China doing? Oh, China's building infrastructure and roads. So the government's buying all the materials. China's sending over their tradesmen. The government's paying them to build their roads, and China's making off like a bandit. Then I went into Tanzania, same type of poverty. We're supposed to deliver clean drinking water and electricity. 54% of homes don't have electricity. 48% don't have clean drinking water. 37% don't even have running water. And I look at the government, filthy rich, another revolution that just started over there. They just ran their president out of the country, and we gave them $38 billion over the last like 10 years. And where did that money go? Oh, it went into the politicians' pockets so we could buy off their vote in the UN for Israel. And then I look over what's China doing in that country? China's building Walmart, Sam Clubs. Well, what's getting sold in those Sam's Clubs? Oh, every product in the entire store is coming from China. So it's like you see China going into these other countries and they're building infrastructure because it's benefiting the citizens. The manufacturing powerhouse that China is, China's producing so much shit that they're not even worried about the $10 or less knickknacks they used to be thriving off of. They've exported all that to Malaysia. So now that they produce the plastics and all the materials, and then they sell that to Malaysia, Malaysia produces all that cheap shit. Malaysia sells it all around the world. All of that is benefiting China, right? So every country I go to, China's investing their citizens' tax dollars, but they're building that's benefiting the citizens of China. What the hell have we benefited from billions? I mean, I'm not even talking maybe even trillions at this point that we've
Yeah.
given to these countries. And what the hell has the American taxpayer got from it? We haven't got shit. And it's like, it just pisses you off. It does. This is like my 20th interview in the last 3 days. So I'm all riled up right now because I've said it over and
It's
over and
okay.
over. And it's just like, when are we going to get change? Like, really? And we're not going to. And my Diego is like, I forget this guy's name. He's a very successful millionaire. I was watching a podcast and he was like the first guy who talked about how I need to diversify, how I need to get my wealth out of America. I need to own assets in this country. I need to have birth certificates and citizenship in this country. I need to have this in this country. And he goes, you know what? When World War III starts, you know what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be sitting in my beach house in Nicaragua, watching your children go to war to dying for their country. And he's like, that hit me. He's like, well, why the fuck would anybody say something like that? And Diego goes, I know what happens if we're going to go to war. He goes, we got our Mexican passports. We got this passport. He goes, we're going to be sitting in Nicaragua on a beach watching y'all send your children off to die in a war for their country. And I go, holy shit, it makes sense. Like, why would you choose to be a slave in America when you can go anywhere with your American passport? You can go literally anywhere in the world. And if you're not, if like look at the Jews in Israel, right? They come to any country and they're just worried about exploiting it. They don't give a shit about the country. They're just worried about how much money can I make in this country to benefit myself and my family. So when you go to another country, you don't have that blood loyalty like you do. Like this is America, it's our soil, it's our country. We're gonna fight to defend it. You go to another country, you're just worried about your family and making money and doing
Right.
what's best for yourself. And if the government ain't corrupt and you don't got a problem with the government and they're only taxing you 20%, why are you staying in the country that taxes you 55% and wants to chemically castrate your children, wants to, castrate your wife, wants to put you on big pharma cocktails, wants you a patient of big pharma for the rest of your life. They want to poison your skies, they want to poison your drinking waters, and they want to steal all your water so that they can set your count on fire and then come in and buy the land up pennies on a dollar. But
Yep.
That's where we got right now, right? That is that is America. That is the American dream. That is all we got here in America. So
And thank goodness Diego has so much knowledge and he had connections during all of this. It helped Marissa and Levi be able to get the exposure that they needed and the support they needed to be able to get, Cyrus back.
yeah, if
I
they
was
wouldn't have,
really
if
impressed with them.
Diego is such a great grandfather, because
Mhm.
when CPS came to, I mean, the guy's like a machine. He probably didn't eat sleep for a week, and he just consumed CPS content and just understood quickly how this machine works, how it operates.
Mhm.
And then once they came for his kid, then it was like game on. Then he started to go and he did like 50 interviews in like a couple month period. He was on every network. He staged these protests. He got their baby back in 8 days. And if it wasn't for him, there was a 54% chance that they were never going to see that child again once they took it. The odds were not in their favor. So
Right.
as a family member, like as a mother, as a father, like I would burn the country to the ground to save my kid. You know,
Oh yeah.
wars were fought over, king's children before, right? So
Mhm.
like, but unless it's Trump's child, unless it's Trump's grandchildren, unless it's, Republicans or a powerful person, or it's a Jewish child, then they're completely irrelevant. They're just another cog in the wheel, and they're expendable. They're disposable. Your children don't matter to this government. We don't matter to this government. We're just tax slaves.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting too with the watching them arrest Marissa and Levi, and how they were arresting Marissa, and then they realized, oh, you're not the mother of the child. Whoops, you know what I mean? Like, and then they come up with these charges like that aren't even a thing.
Yep.
I just, the whole thing was crazy. And then to, promise her that she can stay with the baby, and it was all just a ploy to gain trust to be able to do what they wanted. It was, you could just see it, you know what I mean? The fallout
Yeah.
right in front of your eyes. And it just goes to really show you how desperate they really are. And all they have to do is cause that separation. And it seems like once they were able to create that separation with Marissa and the baby, and then they already have Levi, taken to the side, her sisters to the side, then they can really do what they want to do.
That's how the system works, right? Because the police are incentivized, because there's this big kitty of money thanks to our federal government in the ASFA Act created under Bill Clinton, where the cops only get access to this big pool of money at the end of the year if they hit their quota. Well, their quota is how many children have you physically separated from the parent. So if they don't physically separate the child from the parent, they don't have access to that money. So when the caseworker says, yep, this is a bad kid, the cops doesn't care if it's a bad mother or a bad child or not. All they care about is, we've been told to take this kid. We're not going to, we are the cops. We should be investigating to make sure, hey, we're not kidnapping a good child or a good child from a good parent, right? No, it's not the cops' job. They're just doing their job. And that's where we always end up in these situations. The cops are just doing their job. Border Patrol agents are just doing their job. The FBI is just doing their job. And it's like we deserve to be Sodom and Gomorrah, or we don't deserve a second chance. We burnt through that already. And now we should feel the full wrath of God. We're letting our own government kidnap our own children. And if we can't stand up for that, what can we stand up for? I mean, this documentary, you'd think every network in the world would be chomping at the bit to air this, to promote this, to interview me. And it's honestly, it's just like the America First Patriots, like this last little batch of, heroes that are still around here, like you, right? Like if it wasn't for you guys giving me the airtime, I mean, this thing's only got 480,000 views right now. I mean, this thing should have 2 to 5 million, easy. It's one of the best, not just toot my own horn. I mean, it's a freaking really produced,
Oh
one of the
yeah.
one of my best by far. Out of all the documentaries I put out 7 in the last year or 14 months. This is by far the best of the best films that I've done.
No, it was outstanding. I thought it was really well put together. And it takes a lot, and even for, the family, it takes a lot of courage and bravery to even come out and really discuss this, because most of the time, well, most of the time, if not all the time, you're punished or you're met with pushback, and there's repercussions, unfortunately, which there shouldn't be. And a lot of people aren't aware of. So I know several people that are foster parents, and people don't really realize, I don't think, the incentive. Like, people are, always saying, oh, well, they're doing out of the goodness of their heart, and they praise people, and I'm like, do you realize how much money they get for doing that? Like, yeah, some people do it out of the kindness of their heart, but there's a whole lot of incentive. It's kind of like, and it obviously no comparison, but homeowners insurance. Like, I went through a fire 4 days before Christmas last year. and the insurance company to screw you. So like if they get, let's say they work you over and tire you out, and they can give you this little settlement versus what you really should be getting, right? Because there's pages in underwriting people don't know. They don't know how to advocate for themselves. I do a lot of reading, so I know how to advocate for myself and put my foot down. But the average person doesn't like to read or look into anything anymore, which is mind-boggling to me. It's like the laziest, where people are just so lazy. And the bottom line is that they get a bonus if they save the insurance company from paying you out what they should have paid you out rightfully, because this is what you pay for, right? And it's the same concept here. It's this incentive of, hey, if you do this and you have the child in your possession for this amount of days, and then if you actually take the custody from the parents, then there's this other incentive. People don't realize how much goes into that. And it's crazy to me how people don't read and dig. And I don't even have any children. I actually don't have children because I think we're on such a bad path. I am not having kids so that they can go into the world and be a cat, dog, he, she, it, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And my husband is a veteran, and we're like, we're not doing this dog and pony show. So I don't have kids. Not to say I don't want a family. And people are like, oh, well, aren't you afraid to die lonely and not have kids to take care of you? No, I'm not. I'm not doing this. Because when I die, I'm terrified to leave my kid here alone. For what? You know? And if we're at this point now, where does this lead us? And like I said, that there's been shows on the air that they take off and they say, oh, well, the viewership wasn't great and it was disturbing. I understand, this is a disturbing topic, but at some point you have to open your eyes. You have to take the rose colored glasses off and look at the freaking actual huge problem, right? And DCFS, honestly, when I was younger, they actually came knocking on my parents' door the night of my DARE graduation because a girl at school said, oh, well, Nicole had a mark on her nose or something like that. And my mom told them, you're not taking my effing kids, and put her foot down. But they were trying to take us kids. They didn't even come to ask questions first. Police were at the door. There was nothing prior to that. And thank God my mom already knew better, and said, hey, we're shutting this down. You're not taking my kids. I don't know what you
Wow.
heard. And luckily, like I said, we stayed in the home, but they did try. And my mom was ill. I remember my mom in the bathroom just puking because she just could not believe what was actually happening. My parents were the furthest thing from abusive parents. And they said a girl at school had told them that my mom hit me, with a wooden spoon or whatever. So
You're so
yeah.
lucky. You're so close to you're never seen your mom again. Literally.
Yeah, and I had two brothers that are younger. So I think that this is an issue that's near and dear for me for several reasons. And I just think it's so important for people to open their eyes and realize that, these laws and these government agencies that they tell you are put there to protect you are they're there for control. They're not there to protect you.
Yeah, I'd say that all the time is there's every one of these three-letter government agencies that you
Mhm.
thought was created to protect you or protect we the people is literally designed to protect the people that are stealing your money and want to kidnap your children. It's that simple. Like these crooks are so corrupt and they're so incompetent. And the corruption only stems, right? Like if the sheriffs had the ability to investigate senators and the local law enforcement had the ability to go do their job, they would just go do their job. But the FBI was kind of created because we have these hierarchies of power. Like once you become a governor or the mayor of a town, right, you become so powerful that you kind of control the police. They work for you. Well, how are they ever going to investigate you if they work for you? So you kind of needed this federal agency that had this oversight power to go and arrest the corrupt politicians. That way, the mobs didn't take over the mayor's office, right? And we all thought it was all hunky dory, but it's not. It's just not the case. We need to get back to like a state level government. Like we really need each state needs to be its own independent sovereign apparatus, and we need to have term limits. We need to have mandatory drug testing. We need so much to fix our country. That's why I say it's like I don't think it can be saved. But
You want to know what?
I'm getting ready to run out of time. I got about 4 minutes. I gotta take off. I gotta be in the next interview. I'm sorry. I
No,
was
no
late.
problem. Like I said, I live in Palm Beach County, and I will tell you that I know I have friends that were Epstein victims. And I will tell you that we were out on New Year's last year, and a guy sat down at the bar next to my husband and started asking him about his job. My husband works on private jets,
Okay.
and started asking us if we've seen Epstein around. And then proceeds to start telling us eventually that Epstein was seen driving drunk in a blue Bentley going down a one-way road the wrong way. And after questioning my husband, next thing you know, the guy's like, all right, well, have a good night. Maybe I'll see you guys here again. They have the best pizza in town, whatever. And I will tell you that the cops were called numerous times on Epstein. The West Palm police did nothing. They never even went over there. You can talk to neighbors or people that, like I told you how close I am to that area. You hear about it all the time. It's for me, I've had several people that I've had run-ins with that are very, very familiar with what went on here.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I have stories for you for days.
It's funny as you're
pretty
the
crazy.
second person that I've heard now in Florida that's seen Epstein alive, or has reported that Epstein is still alive.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people say, well, how is that possible? And then he's out in public. And I said, if you are familiar with this area, there are very exclusive bars that you go into. So like when you walk on Worth Ave, you'll hear music. And in between the buildings, they have all these beautiful flower walls. And then you walk in, and the next thing you know, you're in this gorgeous restaurant, right? And people give you dirty looks. And it's like all these billionaires that are just, and you know what? I'm going to email you the pictures that were on the walls in this restaurant. And the owner came out and gave my husband a nasty look and said, you better stop. But the art on the walls tells you everything. We got out of there. We were like, this is crazy. So it's this tight knit community. And believe me, I think there's a whole lot of secrets, and they can tell who's an outsider and who isn't, so to speak. And yeah, I just thought it was interesting. What are the odds he'd sit at the bar? And I kept telling my husband, it's like he wants to talk to you. And then eventually we gave into this conversation. We had this talk about Epstein, and the next thing you know, it was like, I gotta go. And I said, well, that's weird. And then someone said to me, one of my friends said, well, they know young people talk. I think he was trying to see, if you've had any personal experience. But he actually did tell us that that he himself has seen him alive driving down a one-way road, going the opposite direction, drunk at like 2 a.m. in a blue Bentley.
That's freaking crazy.
But can you imagine? I mean, this is somebody who has, the amount of girls that have come out and said they were trafficked by him. I mean, there's more people than what you see on the TV or see in interviews,
Yep.
and for Kash Patel to say, oh, there's no proof that happened. Excuse me, say what? What planet are you living on?
We're all asking the same exact thing about Cash. I don't know how to explain it, but it's
And
I'm just glad it's gotten to a point where everybody can see it now, right? When we were first going after Cash, the first 2 months he was nominated, it was give him more time, give him more time. There's a master plan, there's going to be arrests, there's going to be this, there's going to be that, but there's just not, right? There's not going to be any arrests, there's not going to be any bullshit. It's just going to be lip service for the next 3 years. That's why I think Republicans are going to purposely sabotage the midterms, so then they can go, oh, it's all the Democrats. They're just going to let the Democrats stop Trump from doing whatever he wants to do, just like they did in 2016 or in 18 and 20. We're going to give it back to Democrats. When we give it back to Democrats, they're going to open the border wide open. I could go into this, but I really got to run. I got to be in this next interview here in a few minutes. So
no, for sure. I appreciate your time, and the film was wonderful, and I'm so grateful to you and the family for sharing the story. Like I said, the exploitation of children is disgusting.
And if you want to pick this up tomorrow, I have time. We can pick this up tomorrow and finish off this interview if you got more time.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm available. You just let me know when you're available, and
all right, sounds good. What's your schedule during the day tomorrow?
I don't work, so I fly by the seat of my pants. Whatever works for you works for me.
Cool. Well, I'll shoot you a text when I wake up, and we can get something going right away then.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, sounds good.
I will see you tomorrow. Thank you. All right, guys. So we are going to pick up the interview tomorrow with Ryan. He ran late today, so we're going to have to kind of do this in 2 parts. But if you guys are not familiar with Never in America, I'll go over a quick rundown again, where it's the story of Baby Cyrus in Idaho. It was completely tragic. It really unveils the evil of CPS and DCFS. Baby Cyrus was only 8 months old when his parents had been taking him to the doctor for struggling to wean off breastfeeding to solid food. And he had been seeing several doctors and specialists for this. And so one day the baby was throwing up, and Marissa and Levi, the parents, decided to take him to the hospital. And when they weighed him in, it showed that he had lost weight from his previous visit. So they asked them, hey, can you, breastfeed him and then bring him back tomorrow and let's do another weigh-in. Well, Marissa came down with being sick. So she had called and said, hey, can we reschedule the weigh-in? I'm not feeling good, left a message, turned her phone off, went to go to sleep like most sick people would. And they tried to call back to reschedule the appointment. When they did that, obviously she missed the call. And instead of trying to contact her again or giving her time to call back, they decided to call CPS. So the next thing you know, the police are at their door requesting them to come down to the Center for Victims Abuse. And from there is really where the fight of their life began to get their child back. So this case really proves that the system isn't designed, as Ryan and I were talking about, to protect children, but rather to have control over your children. And really, Hillary Clinton did a speech, interview, whatever, and she actually said I think it was a book, It Takes a Village to Raise Your Children. And they're basically telling you right there that you need help to raise your child, and you don't. And Title IX and Title 10 is Diego, the dad, Marissa's dad, talks about, those are all laws that they tell you, oh, well, it's to protect children. It's to protect children from battery and assault. Well, we have laws for battery and assault against me, against you, against a child. It's all the same. So it's just a big scheme to have control. Okay. So if you guys haven't watched Never in America, I put the link in the community post area. It'll take you to X. Be sure to, log into your X, and then definitely watch it. Follow Ryan Matta. He's great. He's done several films, Trafficked, What is Treason? There's just so many, and he's really done a great job. This is his best docu film by far. He's really, really wonderful. And I think it's wonderful for him to be able to put this together and really expose this at this level, because this is just one story. And what ends up happening, you guys, is they bury this in the news cycle. And they do this because they don't want the awareness about what's going on. And so if you aren't, familiar with this, or you haven't heard of it before, don't know someone who's personally been through this, it's not something most people would think of. So like I said, just please like, share, comment, on this video, share this interview. It just exposes so many different things. And I know Ryan and I talked about several different topics, not just the exploitation of children, but it all ties in together, and it's so important. And then tomorrow we'll get into, more questions on this. But by sharing this and by commenting, it pushes it further into the algorithm. And by doing that, guys, we prevent more families from having to endure this kind of nightmare, because that's exactly what this is. It's a living nightmare. Okay. And I can't express that enough. This is the biggest, most important issue we are facing in America. Children deserve to be protected. They cannot protect themselves. That's why they have parents. And as adults, as Ryan and I were talking about, if we can't stand together on this one issue and stand together and say, this needs to be corrected, this needs to be fixed, this needs to be addressed, what can we come together on as a country? It just doesn't say a lot for us as a country. And I'm really hoping that this film, as we continue to share and talk about this issue, that we will come to a point where we can come together, because right now we are just so divided on so many different things. And as I've said in previous podcasts, it's not about right or left, right or wrong. we're so past that. And I know Ryan says he's black pilled. I'm red pilled. I don't think I'm black pilled yet, but I still have hope that, if we can just, jar some people's eyes open, that we can get there. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take time. But at the end of the day, we're stronger together, right? And, anytime government is involved in anything, and, and they tell you, oh, we're here to protect you and we're here to help you, that's a scary statement, honestly. So I'm so thankful that Ryan gave us some of his time today. I look forward to the time that we'll get with him tomorrow to continue to go into some of these issues. I just think they're so important to talk about, and saving the children being the most important topic. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this part of the interview, and we will have part 2 coming tomorrow. I hope you all have a wonderful Tuesday night, and I will see you all in the next one.